In June 1946, the radio show The Adventures of Superman took on a new villain. The Clan of the Fiery Cross was a hate-mongering white supremacy group modeled after the Ku Klux Klan. The 16-episode storyline pitted truth, justice, and the American way against the Clan of the Fiery Cross's narrow definition of what it meant to be 100% American. This wildly popular radio encounter explored the dangers of racism and exposed some of the KKK's most guarded secrets, inspiring others to explore the implications of prejudice. The Ku Klux Klan was created following the Civil War, waging a campaign of intimidation and violence against recently freed slaves. Membership had slowly declined until the release of the 1915 film Birth of a Nation, which romanticized the Klan as a group of valiant men defending American values and white society. With almost 5 million members, the Klan's motto advocated one race, one religion, one color. At its peak in the 1920s, the Klan's influence was supported by 4 factors: high membership, fear, secrecy, and political power. The secrecy surrounding the group gave them both power and allure, and the Klan's use of cross burnings and public lynchings incited fear, keeping their opponents quiet.
When we look at the Klan in Atlanta, of the 200-plus men, 83 were Atlanta policemen.
The Klan held immense political power, and in 1925, Klansman Edward L. Jackson was elected governor of Indiana. The Great Depression slowed Klan growth, and by the onset of World War II, Klan activity had come to a halt.
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
The Adventures of Superman debuted as a weekly radio show in 1940. With radios present in more than 28 million households, the show's popularity quickly surpassed that of the comic. Superman was an American icon, an alien immigrant raised in the rural Midwest and moved to the big city. With no clear ethnic background, no accent, and no political or religious views, he maintained a universal and wide-reaching appeal. He fought for truth, justice, and the American way against villains like Hitler, Tojo, and Mussolini. However, as World War II drew to a close, the writers of Superman were forced to look for a new villain, and the Ku Klux Klan became eager to reassert itself as a political power. Understanding that Klan power waxed and waned with social and economic attitudes, Stetson Kennedy, an anti-Klan activist, foresaw the revival efforts and infiltrated the Klan using the surname of his deceased uncle, a former Klansman. While undercover, Kennedy fed information to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Anti-Defamation League, hoping to expose the Klan for what it was. Migration of Black Americans from rural southern areas to northern and midwestern cities caused racial tensions to soar. Returning Black veterans fought for equality in the country they had served, and African Americans who had entered the workforce were forced to compete with returning white veterans for jobs.
During periods of intense social change, Americans often look for scapegoats, and they look for easy solutions.
As minority groups demanded their rights, that power of white Protestant men was waning.
In October 1945, just a month after VJ Day, a Klan revival was held on Stone Mountain in Georgia. Flames danced across a 300-foot blazing cross. 1,000 men in white robes and hoods gathered at the base as hundreds of spectators looked on. Grand Dragon Dr. Samuel Green gave an impassioned speech for white supremacy as 200 new members were inducted into the Klan.
That image of the Klan with the white robes and the lighted cross was a powerful symbol at this time.
It was proof that they were still around, that they wanted to grow, and that there was still interest in what they were doing.
Realizing that the same media used as wartime propaganda for the United States could also be used as social commentary, the writers of Superman turned their focus to forces of evil at home. They consulted child researchers, civil rights groups, and Stetson Kennedy. Hoping to avoid legal battles over the use of the name Ku Klux Klan, the Clan of the Fiery Cross was born.
If they were too subtle, some kid might think that they were actually condoning violence against people. So they had to be very overt, they had to be extremely strong in their message, and at the same time they had to have these dramatic cliffhangers bring these kids back every day. It had to be full of action.
The first of 16 episodes aired on June 10th, 1946. The plot centered around a Chinese boy, Tommy Lee, whose family had just moved to Metropolis after his father is appointed to the health department. Tommy's athletic abilities catapult him to starting pitcher for the Unity House baseball team, replacing former pitcher Chuck Riggs. When Chuck's Uncle Matt, the Grand Scorpion of the Clan of the Fiery Cross, hears the news, he sends the wrath of the clan after the Lee family. The Klan in the show, like the KKK, held a narrow definition of what it meant to be 100% American, a stark contrast to the values Superman espoused.
We're the Clan of the Fiery Cross, Chuck.
The Clan of the Fiery Cross?
Right. We're a great secret society pledged to purify America. America for 100% Americans only. One race, one religion, one color.
I don't get it. America's got all kinds of religions and colors.
When we get through, there'll only be one.
Only one? But the Constitution says all Americans have the same rights and privileges.
Constitution. We'll change that.
This encounter and the opposing definitions of what it meant to be an American served to represent the larger clash of racial ideologies in the United States.
The Clan of the Fiery Cross is made up of intolerant bigots, Jim. They don't judge a man in the decent American way by his own qualities. They judge him by what church he goes to and by the color of his skin.
You mean...
Yes, this bigoted mob is against Tommy Lee and his family because they're Chinese. Most Americans realize the danger of allowing intolerance to breed. Now, we saw what happened to Germany and Italy and other European countries when a gang of murdering bigots like the Fiery Cross mob got in power.
It was a masterpiece of a show because here we are in the year 1946 in a radio show aimed at children talking about this ideology that is essentially a homegrown form of fascism and comparing it to what we fought against in Europe and Asia.
By comparing the ideology of the Ku Klux Klan to the universally admonished rhetoric of the Nazis, the writers of Superman were able to further explore the dangers of racism. Surprisingly, the writers chose to remove their usual emphasis on Superman heroics. Throughout the series, Superman merely stood as a symbol, while it was the human character's actions that helped save the day. They wanted to send the message that you don't have to be a superhero to stand up for what's right. The series caused ratings to skyrocket, captivating over 4.5 million listeners and propelling Superman to #1 children's radio show at the time. As Superman's encounter dispelled the secrecy surrounding the Klan, the other factors that had once supported them began to disappear. Klan recruitment plummeted and overall membership began to decline. Following the storyline's conclusion, the Atlanta Klan launched a failed boycott of the show's sponsor, Kellogg's. In 1947, Georgia revoked the Klan state charter, further weakening their political power, and by 1948, people showed up at Klan rallies to mock them. Superman's encounter with the Clan of the Fiery Cross was a part of the fabric of change that helped weaken the Klan. As people realized they didn't need a superhero to create change, journalists began reporting on the Klan, and the government began several extensive investigations.
All these newspaper articles, all these organizations lauded the Superman show for making such a strong, positive contribution to the understanding of children and pointing out the pitfalls of prejudice. It was a huge breakthrough.
During the 1950s, tolerance was stressed through children's TV shows, books, and public service announcements. In 1954, two of EC Comics franchises, Weird Fantasy and Frontline Combat, further explored the implications of racism through their storylines. Superman's blow to the KKK occurred just before a national rise in racial tensions following the Brown v. Board decision of 1954. Although the Klan was able to capitalize on this and rebuild membership, their numbers never reached above 50,000, just 1% of their size in the 1920s. The generation of kids that had grown up listening to Superman was now a cornerstone in the civil rights and grassroots movements of the 1960s. The 1946 Superman storyline, The Clan of the Fiery Cross, was symbolic of the larger encounter of post-war racial ideologies in America. The carefully crafted series utilized media as more than a form of entertainment. By exposing Klan secrets and exploring the negative impacts of prejudice, the encounter called people to stand up to hate in their everyday life. Superman challenged listeners to define truth, justice, and the American way, posing them with the important question, what does it mean to be an American?